great morning, great afternoon, and great evening, whichever you may be tuning into the video, man. I'm excited to be here today, man. And today we got transition starts here, study the old you, part 5, part 2. Part 5, part 2. Part 5, part 2. Identity and self-image. All right, man. So last week I talked about being the hero to everybody else and the villain to myself. Today is part 2 of that video, and today I'm going to talk about the overcorrection, the mistake I made in trying to correct being the hero to everybody else and the villain to myself. So when I noticed that I was being the hero to everybody else and the villain to myself, the first thing that I decided to do was to pull back from all of the different spaces and to recollect myself, to be able to make sure that I was pouring all that into my cup, and to make sure that when I started overflowing, then that is what I would give to others. But what I didn't recognize in the process of pulling back and pouring into my own cup is that there's a way that I could have done it better, to which I didn't leave others empty in my pulling back and pouring back into myself. And what I mean by that is, if I'm going to pull back from the spaces and the people and the things, it would have been better for me to remove myself fully from the space and not stay in the space and not be fully present. There were a couple of spaces where I was present but not present. And it's very hurtful when you're present and somebody has felt the full presence of your present, or of you being present, and now they feel either the halfness or the emptiness of your present in the present. So when somebody is no longer feeling the connection that they felt with you in the present, that they felt in the past, but you're still there, I think that leaves a deeper sense of pain and a deeper sense of confusion than if a person says, I need to take some time and remove themselves from the space completely and then come back into that space, entering into that space after they've replenished themselves, and be present in that space where the person can fully get the same thing that they were getting before. But as I stayed in that space and as I replenished myself, in that space, I damaged the space because I was showing up in a way that was not conducive to producing an environment where it felt like it was love in the environment. It felt like there was a connection in the environment. It felt like there was intentionality in that environment. It felt like I valued the person, valued the space, valued the time, valued everything in that environment. And when you don't do it in a way that comes off that way, or that is actually that way in the same time, it's very hard to come back and correct that. And sometimes you can't come back into that environment and correct it. Sometimes the damage is done. Sometimes you deciding to stay in that space like I did and be selfish and only think about how you're feeling in that space and operating in that space, but not taking into account the way that others are affected while you stay in the space and not show up in a way that they've experienced you before in the past, and not showing up as your full self. It does more damage to the relationship, the friendship, the mentorship, it does a lot more damage to the relationship that cannot be restored in all times. And sometimes when you recognize and you become aware of how you're showing up in that space, it may be too late to correct that. So what I did was show up in a space where I was present, but my mind was in the past and my mind was in the future. I wasn't fully present in the present. And because I wasn't fully present in the present, I lacked the awareness of being able to communicate in a way that would show that I still had care for the space. I still had care for the relationship. I still had care for the person. I still value what they were bringing, what I was bringing, what we were creating in the space, what the coaches were creating and cultivating in that space, and just understanding the full picture of what was being created in that space. A lot of times when you're dealing with kids in the space, kids may feel the emptiness of you not being fully present in that space, but may not know how to properly communicate that to you or tell you that you're showing up in a way that is not conducive to producing the best result, producing the best environment, and producing the best people, not only as athletes, but people as they go on into life and into the world. And sometimes later you'll get those same athletes, you'll get those students, you'll get those people that'll come back into the space and they'll remind you of moments where you weren't the best version of yourself. They'll remind you of moments where you missed the ball. And when they come back and remind you of moments where you missed the ball, and in that time you may not have had that awareness, you may not have had that accountability, you may not have had that oversight to be able to see that and correct it, then that's when you can take the time to apologize in that setting and correct the relationship moving forward, to be able to create a space to where when you make mistakes, you're more aware of the mistakes because you're fully present in the present to be able to see and receive and reflect on what it is that's going on. So I say that coming from a space of operating in a space where I didn't show up as the best version of myself and having to miss the opportunity to be the best version of myself, or even if I was operating in a lower version of myself, lacking the awareness to be able to show up in that moment and be accountable to the things that I did wrong and be able to say, this is what I did wrong, and not try to show up or not try to be the perfect person, because we all gonna make mistakes. So I think when the kids come back into the spaces and I take the time to be accountable to some things that I may have missed in the space previously before, and I have some time to really talk about and honor the mistake of not being fully present and apologize, I think the kids might not necessarily understand what I was saying when I apologized for not being fully present for the last couple years. But I think maybe 5, 7, 10 years down the line, they'll be able to look at these different conversations and be able to look back and say, I remember when I didn't see something, I felt something, I noticed it, but I couldn't put words on it. And then later down the line, the coach came back and told me that he apologized for not being present. It's going to connect. It's going to resonate. It's going to hold a space in their heart where they'll be able to understand that and be able to move with that as they go forward and walk into the different spaces that they go throughout in their life. So I think that it was very important for me to come to the group and acknowledge, apologize, and hold myself accountable to not being present, and to work on being fully present in the moment when I'm there, so that we can fully enjoy it and embrace it for everything that it is. And once again, create that atmosphere where it's fun, it's challenging, it's great. And at the same time, when the challenges come, we're in a space of unknowing and understanding that the correction is coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of pain. It's not coming from a place of hurt. It's coming from a place of true and authentic connection. All right, man, that's it for this week, man. Appreciate y'all listening to the video, man. If you feel like somebody needs to hear this message, man, share it with them, man. Share it with them. Share it with them, man. And don't forget, like and comment on the video. If there's something in the video that touched you, please comment on it. Let us know in the comments. Man, let us know when you see me in person. Send me a message. Just let me know how this videos are impacting or touching you. And if they not connected with you, you can let us know that as well. We open to all of the feedback that y'all got to offer when it come down to it, man. Listen, let's continue to grow together. Let's continue to build together. And let's continue to study the old version of the old self, of our old self, so that we can be renewed. And when we are renewed in the spirit, our fruit will show in the present and in the flesh. All right, man. That greatness. Y'all know all I'm just messing. Hold on. Let's get it. That greatness. Almost there. That greatness. Woo! It's in the heart, baby. And we all got it. Let's go.